So how you doing? Hey, today we're going to run the Holtz Forma G366 again. It is converted to methanol now, and we are working on the tune and tweaks and stuff before porting. So these are the times whenever we're going to get kind of a, how would you say, the saw's going to basically tell us how it wants ported is the best way I can explain it. So the last video, we ended it off on a leaner tune. It was pretty much about as lean as I could get it and still have it pull power. Today, we're gonna go the other direction. We're gonna start going rich. Now, there's a reason for all of this. So if you're familiar with tuning gas chainsaws, you'll know that there is a window in there in which the saw will perform at its full, or its best potential, I should say. It'll have plenty of torque, it won't be too lean, it won't be too rich, or any of that stuff. Methanol, the window there for methanol is much, much wider. It'll still pull a power with a pretty lean tune, and it'll still pull power on the richer side. But the trick with this is to get it on the richer side. The advantage of methanol is that basically, I guess the simplest way to explain it is to say that you're basically burning like 3 or 4 or 5 times more fuel, which that's where the power, the extra power comes from, is your ability to burn a lot more fuel. Well, if you have methanol on the lean side, it's not going to be running much more fuel than what gas is. And whenever you compare methanol to gas at exactly the same volume of fuel, gas has more power behind it. It's not until you get methanol consuming, 3 or 4 or 5 times more fuel that it will start producing more power over the gasoline. And that's kind of why I keep talking about how we want to see how it's performing and make our decisions on the port work. Because we need to get this thing to consume a lot more fuel, a lot richer tune to see the full power potential of the methanol. Now, our goal here is to get this thing to run on a very rich tune, but still be able to run at full RPM, then having more power. You kind of get my point there? So this is why we got to keep some of this stuff in mind when making our decision to do porting. But enough rambling with this right now. Let's fire this saw up. Our goal today is to start off where we left off. We're on the lean tune. We're going to start richening it up. This is going to give us a really good idea of what we need to do with our port work coming up on this build. So yeah, that's our whole goal today, is just get her fatter and fatter and fatter and see what happens. The changes from last video to this video, we now have it on a number 8 plug, so it is 1 step colder on a spark plug. I was suspicious that the number 7 plug was too hot, so we took it to number 8. And I did the modification at the air inlet elbow or whatever. If you're not familiar, it's pretty simple. There's an elbow leading through into the air, and I just basically cut a big hole out of it to allow the air easier access into the carburetor. So I did those 2 things, and today we're going to give it another run and see how rich we can get this all to run. There's a chance that we run it as fat as we can and the carburetor is not capable of pushing enough fuel through. And that's might put us to the point today that we have to start making modifications to the carb. We won't know until we do this test. So, alrighty, let's see what happens. Okay, she's coming along nicely, I think. So whenever I first started it, I had to richen it up just right off the gate because the air filter for the elbow modification allowed enough air in that she was just too lean, and I already had it tuned pretty lean to begin with. Now, out of all of that cutting, I fattened up the carburetor as far as I possibly could. So that tells me we're probably going to have to do a little bit of a carb mod here to try to get some more fuel. So it does look like we are going to get to show you a little bit of carb modification work. I was afraid we weren't going to, but it does look like we are. But I can tell you we are definitely consuming more fuel now. I can just tell the torque of the saw is really starting to climb as I get more and more and more fuel to it. And are you noticing that as I got more fuel to it, all those things we were noticing before with how the saw was misbehaving, the way it was coming off of idle, all that stuff started to clean up. And it's all because the saw was, well, for two reasons actually. For one, it needed that spark plug. I can tell a difference. I could tell a difference instantly. Just the saw just felt better, and the running it richer definitely was a bigger part of the equation too. She was too lean. So if you're starting to get that effect to where she's kind of wanting to do that coming off of idle, that little kind of thing coming off of idle, she's definitely on the lean side. So a little more fuel is basically what we need to do. Now, if you get to a point where you can't push any more fuel to it, like this one here, it didn't get as far as trying to slow down. You know what I mean? It didn't get as far as trying to reduce RPM by shoving more fuel to it. So, you know, that's one of the next steps here. That's the thing about methanol. It's all about getting more and more and more and more fuel to it. Gasoline saws, you're so used to the whole lean, keeping it on the lean side. The methanol, it's the other way around. It's all about getting more and more and more fuel to it. And as I go along here, I'm noticing things that I would like to change in the port work. So, we will talk about that stuff more whenever we get to it. But there's our next section. We got it as fat as we possibly could and got the spark plug changed and all that stuff. I think the next time around, we're gonna start doing some carb modifications. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed this one. A lot of information packed into this one, I think. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.